Hello, welcome back to another edition of Not Addicted. Today is going to be a little bit different for us. What I want to go over today is I have had some generator issues with the Ryobi. I've owned it for about 3 years now. It has been a very hard start, and once it's running, it runs perfect. There's no issues whatsoever. You can get it to start without any real issue if you use ether or use a little gas directly to the carb, which tells me that it's having trouble actually priming itself. It does get fuel flow. I'll go through that process here in a minute. You'll see it actually will refill the bowl without any trouble. So what that leads me down to is the final piece. The final piece would be the actual choke itself. It's a dial style, which you'll see here in a minute. And what I believe is happening is that it's not creating a good seal. It should have a perfect seal around the entire mouth of that carburetor. I don't think that it's doing that. And one of the reasons I don't think it's doing that is because it uses a cable. Cables, after a short period of time, they start to stretch and you have to kind of make some adjustments to them. I did not use this generator last year at all. A couple of reasons. One was it was a hard start and I just didn't feel like tearing into it at that point in time. So it has some fuel from last year. I did use fuel stabilizer, so I shouldn't have any real issue with that fuel. I did smell it. It does not smell skunky at all. It does smell like it's still fairly fresh. It's not going to be the best fuel, but it should work for me. We'll go through the process of tightening up that cable. I'll check the bottom of the carburetor, the bowl. All I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the set screw there, allow some fuel to come out and take a look at it. And then we'll go from there and take a look. Yeah, well, I think we should just dive right in and let's get started. All right, let's get started. You have to forgive me for the clutter in here. I've been trying to get my gear together for this next summer. So when it comes to plastic, it's wintertime here in Alaska. I did bring this in yesterday to make sure I warmed up everything so I don't end up breaking any parts and pieces. Pretty simple setups you have here. So again, Ryobi and a hard start issue. First thing I want to do is I do want to check to see if I did have any bad fuel in the bowl, which I don't think we're going to find, but we will take a look regardless. Yep, so there is fuel in the bowl. I don't see any water in it. I don't see nothing bad. Okay, I'm just going to let some of that come out there. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that I'm too worried about in the fuel, so we'll just shut that fuel back down. It's good to see too that it is filling up that bowl as it should. Okay. And I told you before, I did check to make sure that the oil level is good and everything else. So I am mostly just going to be concentrating here at the carburetor. So first thing I wanted to do was put some fuel in here and actually take a look. No water, no crud, no nothing that tells me that I'm going to have an issue inside the carburetor. At least one that might have been caused by fuel or water or something like that. Again, I can get this thing to start, no problem. All I have to do is pull off the breather, put a little ether in there, or put a little fuel in there. She'll start right up and she'll continue to run. So it definitely seems to me to be a choke issue. which is what we're going to check next. Interesting thing about these Ryobis is they have a cable here. And that cable connects to the switch in the front, which you pull it all the way down, or turn it all the way down, I should say, and it shuts this butterfly, the butterfly in your carburetor. Well, to me, it appears I'm not actually getting it shut all the way. So what I want to do is I'm going to loosen this up, and I'm going to actually make an adjustment to that. So this bottom nut here is an 8mm. I think this is a 7mm. I just don't happen to have one small enough, so I'm going to use the screwdriver, as it does have a Phillips head bit for that screw. Loosen her up. In fact, let's just go ahead and get you out of the way. Get you out of the way. Now we can see just a little bit better, I hope. So what I want to do is I'm loosening up that set screw. That set screw sets that cable right where it was at. So one of two things has probably occurred. Most likely that the cable itself is stretched a little bit, which has caused it to not want to go all the way with that. So let's get that loosened up a little more. Should, oh, there we go. Okay. So now that cable is pulled all the way, or is loosened up all the way from that set screw, what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to grab a hold of that cable, and I want to just pull that choke lever all the way back out. You almost need a third hand right here. I want to make sure it's good and tight. And then I'll set that screw down just a little bit. Okay. Now that I did that, hopefully, yeah, that's a little better. Just tighten that back up. And we'll give her a little test here in just a second. All right, see you in just a minute. Okay, let's give her a quick test start here. Make sure she runs. And again, this was for a hard start, not a runnability issue. Fantastic. She runs great. Shut her off. Well, as you saw, we had a successful start on our generator. It's as simple as that. It was that cable had simply stretched out or somehow come loose a little bit. Most likely it stretched out, as cables have a tendency of doing that. Easy fix. And instead of spending a bunch of money trying to go in and have the carbs redone, or even taking the carb off, redoing it yourself, which really is not that difficult to do, simply check this first if you happen to have a hard start. And that, of course, is for hard starts that are good running afterwards. Obviously, check your oil, check your sparks, check your spark plug, make sure that all that stuff is in good condition. Mine has very low hours on it. I ran it for about 1.5 years off and on with the RV, but generally I did not use it that much. I hope this was helpful, and have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time.